pause while we come live.
Okay, you can go.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Heritage and Culture Committee meeting for Tuesday, December 14th. We have a vacancy in the chair position. So for the moment, I will act as the acting chair until we can appoint another chair. I'll call the meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. The second order of business on the agenda is the appointment of a chair. I'm going to, we have as I mentioned, we have a vacancy in the chair position due to the resignation from council of Councillor Jeff Marshall, who was the chair of this committee. So I'm going to facilitate the election of a new chair, and then I'll turn the meeting over to the new chair. So at this point in time, I'm going to call for nominations for the chair of the Heritage and Culture Committee. First call. Any nominations for chair of Heritage and Culture?
I nominate Jesse.
Well, I'll
So
second that then.
Christopher
I can't.
Creighton.
Am I on this committee?
Yes, you are. Christopher Creighton nominates Jesse Britton for chair. Any further calls for nomination of chair of the committee?
There you go, Jesse.
No further calls. I'm going to make a last and third and final call. Any calls for nomination of chair of the committee? No further calls. So with no other nominations, Jesse Britton, you are therefore the chair of the committee. And at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to the chair for the customary 1-hour speech that the chair gives on being nominated, and then we'll move into the agenda of the meeting.
And then I'll be back in an hour.
Yeah. Right.
Thank you, Christopher, for your confidence and your reluctance to listen to me talk.
You're welcome on both counts.
Well, let me just say a thank you to obviously Christopher, who has served on this committee with me. Thank you for the nomination. And also thank you to Councillor Marshall, who has done a wonderful job that I think I can speak for Chris and I, who's been a pleasure to work with over these years, and wish him nothing but the best in whatever it is he's moved on to be doing. Yeah, so let's get on with it. So we are looking at for an acceptance of the agenda as presented. Do you have a motion on that? Deputy Mayor Ait, Christopher, can I have a vote on that? All right. Any pecuniary interest to declare?
No,
Seeing none, we will move right on. All right, so we have the minutes from the April 27th. Christopher, did you have any, being the only person that was there, I believe, anything to mention about that?
nope.
Or April
Accurate
27th? Yep.
report.
All right. Do we need a motion on that? I can't remember. I think we just accept them. We do need a motion. Can I have a motion then, Christopher? Yeah.
Yes.
Christopher motions. I don't know if Mayor
I
Ait can
second it.
second or not, not knowing the minutes, but okay. And so we will accept that as passed. All right, we'll move on down. Now we're going on to Bob McLean with the proposed Hicks House proposed signage.
Morning, everyone. Yes, we've got an application for Pizza Hut franchise to locate in the eastern end of the Hicks House. The signage, because of the Hicks House being a heritage designated building, the signage has to be reviewed and assessed for appropriateness with the character of the building. The signage is shown in the package that I presented, along with some of the local history, newspaper clippings from the day. And I've one item to update for the committee. The sign, if I can show you this, this sign, wall-mounted sign, has been removed from the application. So they're going to go with the sandwich board sign on the sidewalk, as opposed to having that overhanging the street. Other than that, the colors and representation for the signage is in my opinion, meets our sign bylaw. It is not backlit, is painted over a wood background. And would like the Heritage Committee to comment on the sign for the portion of the building. Thank you.
I'll start. I looked at the package and honestly, I don't think it really fits in with the Hicks house. It's fairly modern design. If the intent here, and I think it is to try to keep the signage in keeping with the character of the building, I don't think it is.
I guess the question would be though, this isn't really any different than what like the pet store has down the other end of the building. So is it too late as a committee to say that, you know, that it doesn't fit the aesthetic, but then how do you fairly tell these people that and not the other end? Which I don't see a huge difference between the especially the pet store signage. And I'm not sure whose question that would be going to. Bob, is that something that you can comment on how that process was done, or are they were they not brought before the Heritage Committee?
No, I don't believe they were brought to the Heritage Committee for review of that signage. I know when Hear Well, Be Well was in the next portion of the building, I had a discussion with the owners there about the signage and keeping it consistent with the nature of the building. The pet supply there has now taken over that Hear Well, Be Well section of the building. They've expanded into it. And the picture that was put into the package here, this is a 2018 photo of the building at the time, and I'm not sure, I haven't checked lately whether that signage above the pet store has been modified or not.
Yeah, going by memory, I'm pretty sure at least that signage is down. And I'm almost positive they have something up there. But I don't know if it's on the fascia or just on the wall, like the Hear Well, Be Well was.
Mhm.
Can you see that? That's what it looks like, guys. I don't know. I never got a package with Bob's stuff or anything. I don't know what signage we got. But that's what the Office Pro B&B Pets is right now.
Right.
What's the hairdresser called?
All Styles.
Yeah. And they just have the sign, I think, just on the wall beside the door.
That's correct.
I don't personally, I don't think that the B&B sign looks quite as contemporary as the Pizza Hut sign. And I guess it comes down to a matter of degrees, and also if even if it is a little bit modern for the building, I think because that one maybe shouldn't be the way it is, that should then not open the door for other signs to not be the way they should be. I just, and this is personal, but I find that the Pizza Hut sign is, the design of it is just, it's not in keeping with the character of the building. So I don't know whether we want to sort of do a comparison with B&B and say, well, you know, one's no worse than the other. I just think if we're looking at the Pizza Hut sign on its own as an issue for the building, personally, I think it's not appropriate to the building.
speak.
Well, that brought silence, didn't it?
No, I'm just looking at what's there. I don't disagree with you, Chris. And I'm just not sure then how to fairly go back to B&B and say, next time you update your sign or whatever that would be, then if we don't have a clear set of guidelines to say this is what we're aiming for the look, then it's hard to make somebody live up to that.
I expect that there are, I mean, I don't know what the designation wording states about the building, because generally if a designation is done, there are specific architectural elements that are mentioned in that designation. And I would suspect that it's probably just the exterior of the building, because they did put an elevator in when they when they changed it to apartments. And if it were the whole building, interior and exterior, they wouldn't have been allowed to do that. So because we can, I think, assume it is just the exterior. I sort of talked myself into a circle here. I can't remember what I was going to say. Anyway, but I don't think that B&B should be an issue at this point. I don't think it should be a comparison between, well, they have it, so. I mean, if there's a reason that the building was designated, there's a reason, there's a process that goes with designation. And I think that if we start to say, well, we'll just let it go this time, then the problem is that ends up being the sort of the working policy for the committee. And then you kind of defeat the purpose of having a designation.
Is there any way to see the sign? Does anybody have a split screen that I could actually, like I said?
Oh, the proposed one? Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if it's red and green or if it's
black and
there's
white.
not
and
much,
red,
not much
essentially.
space there. It's only about a foot high, right?
Yeah. Basically,
I
Because
they
can
want to
share.
replace the brown fascia with a full black Pizza Hut and then the logo and writing.
Can you see
So-
that?
Yep. Yep. So go down. I think it's the second last page is the best one to show.
Second last.
I
This one?
think. The next one down, I think. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the kind of clearest. There are the photo sims, but that's so it seems like the other ones, like the Hicks house itself, and then the Hicks Cafe, and then the previous tenant was basically used the brown and only had their logo, like their name on that, not having the black full signage with the lettering and logo.
So right now it's dark brown.
Yeah.
Labitza, can you allow me to share my screen? I'm just going to show the existing.
Yeah, you
So-
can go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just show, does everyone have that? This is a street.
Yep.
And I think it's a good size, and you can see what Jesse's referring to is the brown base along here, the Hicks House brown base. And I'll just go back then and grab that. So if you just concentrate on that for a moment, and I will, oh, I lost that agenda, dang. So in a moment, I'll get that picture of the agenda back up again.
Yeah, was it the financial place though was similar to that Jeff has on his screen on the right hand side, where it's basically the brown background and only the logo and only the lettering that is off of the brown. Which I think you could argue, and I know, again, I'm not disagreeing with you, Chris, but the nuance is that B&B signage probably is their whole logo. So if we even said only your logo can be on the brown, then.
Well, actually, it's the logo I find sort of, well, the logo and the name are all part of the same
Yeah.
package. It's just B&B, yes, it's a bit bright, but it's sort of the lettering is traditional, the design is traditional. But Pizza Hut is not. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you would see in a mall food court. And and this is, you know, maybe I'm just too suspicious, but I just wonder why they would be this far along in the process before they say, oh, by the way, we'd like to put this sign up. But that would be like, you know, going to Tim Hortons and say, we want you to change your brown to green. I can't imagine that they will change it because that's their corporate identity. And it isn't so much that the color that I'm concerned with, it's the design, it's the style of the type, it's the logo, it's, you know, it's just it. If the idea is to keep, now another thing is that on the app or the designation, it would say you can work to this certain date. So, I mean, even if you could update it to the 20s or the 30s, you still wouldn't have a sign that looked like that. So, I mean, the Here Well Be Well, I know they're not there anymore, but that is quite traditional in its presentation. The All Styles, that is actually fairly true to traditional style. Yeah, the B&B sign is not great, but it's up. I'm not sure that then means that we should say, well, the Pizza Hut sign is certainly not appropriate in appearance for the building, but we should allow it because B&B has a sign. It's sort of, well, anyway, I've already said, so I'll stop there.
Yeah, well, and I hear what you're saying, Chris, and my only thing then would be we need to give them some sort of guidance to say, we don't like what you proposed, and this is what you could do to mitigate it. And I'm assuming that the Pizza Hut lettering is their logo lettering. Like, that's not going to change. We might be able to get them to change their, you know, like the font of the phone number and the pizzahut.ca. There may be some wiggle room there, and tell them that they have to match the colors, but I don't know how you tell, you know, they're going to want that logo and their name in that Pizza Hut font, I would assume.
Yeah, and ultimately, regardless of what we decide as a Heritage and Culture Committee, we are a committee and we make a report or a recommendation to council. So
Yep.
Even if we were to say, we don't like that sign, it needs to be changed, council could not take our recommendation and go ahead and approve it anyway. So ultimately, the decision is council, not ours. Although I just wanted to sort of be on record as saying that I don't think the sign's appropriate.
Yeah, and I'm asking you, I guess, then for what would a motion, if you could put a motion, propose a motion of, is your motion, we just deny the sign and we want it more historically accurate and push it back to them? Or can we give them some sort of feedback to go that the designers and their committee, so they can go to corporate and say, hey, this is a historic site. It's going to be a one-off. This is not, you know, in a strip mall where we're building our own building. This is what the committee would like and is proposing. Help me, help out me as a franchisee, right?
I think that's exactly what we do. Maybe, you know, maybe not begin with, you know, you can't put that sign up.
Yeah.
But, you know, as per your suggestions of how, you know, whether or not they're allowed to, or corporate would want them to change the sign because that is the look of Pizza Hut. That's up to the Pizza Hut organization, I guess. But I just think that given the location, given the fact that the building is designated, that the sign is not appropriate for that location. Sure, we could ask them to, perhaps consider having a, um, period, appropriate sign made. Whether they would go for it, I guess, is another question.
Bob, is it, so so you went back, they have the West Hall Heritage. Did they come to us first, or if this is what they've already gone to corporate and now they're going to, like, have they asked corporate the same thing about like the muted colors and those things? Or you're muted, Bob. Bob,
Five
you're
more dollars,
muted.
Bob.
Apologize for that.
That's okay.
The sign company, Metro Signs, reached out to the West Hall Heritage Consulting to review their application. I'd asked them to get an independent report done on the appropriateness of the sign. The recommendations came back that are in the package. I'm not aware that they had discussions with corporate on the sign face, or whether there was any flexibility.
Right. Yeah, so they haven't adjusted that. June 21 is the drawings that they proposed, went to the consultant, and then the consultant as of December is saying, here it is, and now it's coming to us. Because I mean, essentially, I think what Chris is saying, Chris looks like he walked out, but is agreeing with the mitigation recommendations, especially to point number 3 with the colors.
Yes, I'm not worried about the attachment to the face of the building. It's it's good and secure there. It's the colors and the palette that need to be adjusted.
Yeah,
And my job is to take this to county or to council and see which way they vote, I assume. So
yeah.
that's, if you two guys are split.
I would,
No, I think I don't think we're split. I think we're just trying to, we're trying to make we're trying to come up with a recommendation for council to either reject or not, and try to
or if I may, Jeff, I think you're providing some input to the decision for council to consider. I think, it would be nice if the committee could agree on a resolution, and I think I heard some sort of consensus gathering around, we recognize that you have your corporate logo and your corporate colors, but we're wondering if you can do more work to make it sympathetic to the building in that brown stripe across the building.
Yeah.
And perhaps that's all the committee wants to say. That may be the limit of the consensus of the committee, but I think that's a very important statement from the Heritage and Culture Committee of the municipality of West Perth back to the developer or the proponent. They can either decide whether they want to move or stick, and then council will have to decide what to do with that. So I just want to lay that framework down, and I'm not going to be able to frame that that resolution exactly that way again, because it came out of my mouth once, but
it's recorded though, so we got it.
We could replay it. Yeah.
I think that's a good course of action.
He said that's a good course of action. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't, Chris, did you hear? So we talked. Did you hear us when you were not at your
Yeah,
desk?
no, sorry. I had
That's
a
okay.
dog with an emergency to go outside, so I had to deal with that. Sorry
Yeah,
about
no,
that.
no problem. So basically they submitted it back in June, and then they just heard the beginning of December from the consultant. But as far as Bob knows, is it's come to us first and hasn't, like in even the Heritage one, the letter, especially point number 3, which would be to respect the heritage designation of the building, consider muted colors more in line with the overall color palette of the building facade. And I think we would as a committee agree by the sounds of it, to say, yes, we agree with that point especially. And then we might even recommend to council to, if they're willing to look at their color palette, from what you're saying. Is that enough for you, Chris? Or are you also looking to say, also look into the font?
Yeah, yeah. I would say that that's as important, maybe even more important than the color, or certainly as important as the color, because that font is just not, I don't think it's appropriate at all to the building.
Right. And Bob did say that he isn't concerned from the building standpoint about the attachment to the building itself, that it's in good.
I don't have any trouble with the construction of the sign. It's the look of the sign.
So to put words in your mouth, Chris, I think you're saying that you want to accept the report and to also recommend that whoever I guess the franchisee would be working with their corporate to address the points in the, I want to say, West Hall Heritage Research and Consulting report, and also look at adjusting the font. Just trying to find the words, adjusting the font and to be more historically appropriate.
Or period appropriate, perhaps.
Period appropriate. I don't know, does anybody write that down as I was talking?
I think if Jesse, or sorry, if Christopher is comfortable with that, Christopher, I think you make it a motion, you need a seconder, and we can get the exact wording in the minutes.
Okay, then I so move.
Okay, Doug either has a question or is seconding. Okay,
I can
We got a
second
second
it
on
so it
that.
gets to council so that we can make
Yeah.
a decision.
yep. Sounds good. All right, can I have a vote on that then? Yep, and we are passed. All right. Is that good for you too, Bob? Okay, he's nodding and a thumbs up. Awesome.
I've got it.
Thank you.
Great. All right. So we have the schedule for the next years of being January 27th, April 28th, September 22nd, and November 24th. Don't see any problems with that at this point. Obviously, we can adjust as required. Do we need a motion on that one too, Jeff? Or is that just a,
Yes, we do.
okay,
And I
If I
move that we accept the schedule as
yep. Doug
presented.
is second, and I will pass, so we are good for that. Great. And we don't have any correspondence, announcements, notice of motions, and the next meeting, of course, is January 27th. So unless anybody else has any business arising from what we've talked about, I think that's it for this historic first time with Deputy Mayor Height here on our Heritage Committee.
We'll just have to see if I stick.
You better stick. Are you gonna?
Council will decide if they get a new, Jeff probably can't say this, get a new counselor.
Yep.
And what the situation is, I'm not sure. I think we'll know that on next Monday.
And well, the election's in the spring, is it? Anyways.
No, our
for you?
election's not until October.
Oh,
Our new
okay.
council doesn't start till November, so Jeff's smiling already.
Well, we don't get a choice about whether we get a new council or not. So we have to figure out how we appoint, because with more than 90 days, you have to get a new councillor, and you can do it by election or by appointment. Our past practice has been appointment. And when we reach that point, I think the decision will be made whether that new councillor would take on those former committees or whether we leave them with Deputy or Mayor Ike to keep him working and busy and out of trouble.
Oh, you mean all my days are busy? No.
So that process, that report will be coming to council this coming week to give council that choice. And then there's a very there's a pretty strict statutory procedure that
Right.
we need to follow. Yeah.
Great. Well, then I guess the only thing I need is a motion to adjourn.
I gotta get first.
So move.
Oh. Deputy Mayor Wright is motioning
Oh.
first to adjourn. It
My
looks
hand
like
was up first.
Christopher is second that motion. So let us pass that and we will adjourn this meeting. So thank you, everybody, for showing up.
And
Good
thank
making
you.
them quick there.
Congratulations,
I've only
Jesse.
only missed